Alright. Hello, this is OK Love. I'm here today to make a video about identity, namely American identity, more specifically Black American identity, and how the terminology of being called a Black American, as opposed to simply an American, can be oppressive. Now, I'll start with saying the very obvious, which is that we never refer to white Americans as European Americans or as white Americans in the same way that we refer to Black Americans as such. And I wonder why. And I think that it should be changed. Because, as I said earlier, the terminology is inherently oppressive because it suggests or presumes that somehow white is the standard. White thus somehow means American, whereas Black cannot simply be American in that same sense. As most of you probably do not know, most Black Americans have European ancestry, and I'll show you some proofs later via the DNA analysis company, Ancestry DNA. And I think that it'll be enlightening for a lot of you, and I hope that you'll consider my argument in regards to why the terminology should or should not be changed or reconsidered or somehow reappropriated. Later in this video, I will show you the results of my Ancestry DNA analysis, as well as in the second or third part of this video, the DNA analyses of my mother and my grandmother on my mother's side. Okay, so let's go to the part of this video, the second part, where I talk about the DNA analysis of myself. See you there.
Okay, so I have had to obscure some of the information from your view on your screen for obvious reasons having to do with privacy. But we'll start here. This is sort of the current interface that you will be able to look at once you've signed up for Ancestry. You paid about $100 for your DNA analysis. I will tell anybody it's some of the best money I've ever spent in my life. You get to uncover the truths about yourself and in terms of what you've inherited genetically, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to give a better explanation of how saliva DNA analysis works. But for now, let's look at this. So here's a breakdown of my ethnicity estimate. We have Africa here at 79%. I am 19% Nigerian. Okay, it says here Ivory Coast, Ghana, 16%, Senegal, 12%, Benin, Togo, 11%, Cameroon, 9%, and now we have our low confidence regions, Africa, Southeastern Bantu, 6%, Africa, South Central Hunter-Gatherers, 3%, and Mali, 2%, and North Africa, 1%. I was very shocked to see that I was 1% North African, but I'm sure that that comes from my father's side of the family because he actually has that sort of North African look to him. Hopefully I can get his DNA analysis soon to help gain a better understanding of what's happened as far as DNA being passed down in my family. And then we have Europe, 19%. By the way, most Blacks are about a quarter European, okay? Now, European West, 15%. And then we have the low confidence region, Ireland, 4%. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to make a tasteless joke here or say something slightly tasteless, but I was actually happy that I didn't have any British DNA ancestry. I'm proudly American that we broke away from the monarchy and moved over to the Americas where we gained our own freedom. And it's just funny to me that it actually says Great Britain 0 as if the universe was in on the joke too. Anywho, so America here it says 1%. Okay, Native American. Shocking too, my mother also has 1% Native American. My grandmother, my mother's side again, 2%. It's very strange to me how that 1 and 2% of the Native American DNA over the course of the generations has maintained its identity and its significance as it's expressed itself. West Asia, 1%. Middle East. That was extremely shocking to me too. So there you have it. This is a new feature that Ancestry DNA has. It has a genetic community. So they take your results and they figure out basically where you all started your, how would you put it? Where you first migrated in the country. Our country is very new, as you all know, so it's very easily traceable, and we were traced back to African Americans. Okay. In Virginia and the Deep South. I hope that has been very informative, and I'll continue on with the rest of the video later. And I'm back. I'm sweating like a hooker in church right now. I apologize. It's probably like 100 degrees in the shade right now. I hope that you enjoyed the first segment of the video with my Ancestry DNA analysis. The second part of the video will include my mother's DNA analysis as well as my grandmother's DNA analysis, and then we'll sort of compare and contrast, and you can draw your own opinions and hopefully enjoy the insights that this video has brought you in terms of my identity and just how fascinating it all is, and how it redefines terms for all of us and helps us understand each other much more. Yeah, so let's do it.
Welcome back. This is the part of the video where I will be discussing the DNA analysis results of my mother first, followed by my grandmother on my mother's side. Okay, so let's start here. Here is her ethnicity estimate. Okay, at Africa we have 86%, starting with the majority being Cameroon, Congo, followed by Benin, Togo, Senegal, Mali at 13%, Nigeria at 8%. Africa, South Central hunter-gatherers at 4%. Now let's look at the low confidence regions. We have Ivory Coast, Ghana at 4%. Africa, Southeastern Bantu at 1%. And that will conclude the DNA ancestry that she has from Africa at 1%. We have Asia South, and Europe, we have 11%. Low confidence region, Ireland 6%, Europe West 2%, Finland Northwest, Russia 2%, Europe East 1%. Alright, next we have America at 1%, Native American, and finally we have West Asia, the Caucasus at 1%. Okay, and again we have the same genetic, the same genetic community, Virginia and the Deep South. Okay, now let's bring up my grandmother's. She also has the same percentage of African ancestry at 86%, Benin, Togo 22%, Ivory Coast, Ghana 18%, Senegal 17%, Cameroon, Congo 14%, low confidence regions, Mali 6%, Africa, Southeastern Bantu 4%, Africa, South Central, Hunter gatherers 3%, Nigeria 2%. Moving on to Asia. Asia South 1%. Okay. When you scroll over, you will see that on the right-hand side of the screen, I'm sure you've noticed it by now, they define what they mean by these different regions, okay, by circling them and labeling them on the map on the right-hand side. Europe 11%, then we have Ireland, just Ireland. Moving on to the Americas, we have 2% at Native American. So, that will be all for this segment. In the next segment, I will be wrapping up, and we'll conclude together on this topic of identity and Black American identity. See you there. Welcome to the final part of the video, where I'll be concluding my argument. Being called a nigger, I have been many times, especially having grown up in the southern part of the nation where there were formerly plantation owners, in contrast to the northern part of the region where it was all industrialized. We all know eventually the ideologies clashed, and that led to the Civil War. Racism had to exist in order for the status quo to stay in power, in order for the economy to continue on in favor of those who were accustomed to specific lifestyle and who wanted to obviously support their own survival. So in that sense, racism is perfectly understandable. However, as someone who exists on the other side of the oppression and who wishes to free myself from it, I've found it important to sort of point out these inconsistencies and these oppressive terminologies based on the facts that I have. My African ancestors built the economy with their blood, their sweat, their tears, and their oppression, and somehow we still survived because, as you can see, Black people have extremely strong wills. That is just how it is. Okay? Now, once again, if you are not referring to European Americans as such, then do not refer to me as a Black American. By the way, in America, usually whites are referred to as whites, and blacks are referred to as blacks. However, when it comes to filling out official documents, you have to pick a box. Do you pick the white box? Yeah. Okay, so I have all European ancestry. That's been a mixture of the migrations to America. Yeah, saying white makes sense because they are of a racial mixture. And sorry, I had some temporary technical difficulties. As I was saying, to call a migrant from Europe who is of different ethnicities in Europe makes sense, okay? To call a Black person of many different ethnic mixtures, I would say is workable. But when you start calling white Americans and Black Americans, it's unfair. I am as American as any white person in this country, and this is my argument. Alright, so that concludes the video. I welcome you to leave comments, subscribe, and I would hope that most of the comments are positive. Or, excuse me, I'm sure many trolls will come and try to say nasty things and presume that 100% of the white people were raping 100% of the Africans who came over, and thus somehow I should be ashamed, or I am somehow inferior to their perfect, loving parents who had no ulterior motives in marrying or breeding and creating them. Bring on the hate from the sociopathic, narcissistic, incestuous people who would presume that they are somehow better. Those same racists who are anonymous, who would be afraid to even post their picture or make a video, and welcome the hate that comes along with the praise and the love and the informative things that making a video and sharing information and enlightenment comes along with sharing on the internet. So again, I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. It's been very cathartic for me. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.